And our next speaker is a loneliness and connection expert. She'll be talking to us about culture. Her title is the following: Connection versus Resignation. How to cultivate a culture of belonging to attract and retain talent, reduce sick leave, and solve the loneliness pandemic, or epidemic, I should say. Unni Turrettini, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
We're very happy to have you, and it seems that the technical aspects are in order, so please take the floor.
All right. So have any of you here ever felt like you were all alone, even if you were surrounded by other people? Yeah, raise your hand or say yes in the chat if you've ever felt like that. And what if I were to tell you that that feeling that you may have had is costing the US economy more than $400 billion every single year in lost productivity? Yeah, I've struggled with loneliness. And one of those times I was working as a lawyer at this financial institution. And I had a colleague, and she treated me like I was the enemy. She was hostile. She would hold back information that I needed to do my job. And I felt very much alone. And my own loneliness laid the foundation for my work today. I'm Unni Turrettini, and I help companies cultivate a culture of connection and belonging so that they can attract and retain talent and also reduce sick leave. The pandemic has reshaped our workplace, and the Great Resignation tells us that people are leaving their jobs, and it's never been harder to keep talent. And part of the reason is that we don't feel connected at work. And that correlates with the fact that 3 out of 5 American adults struggle with loneliness. In Europe, 1 in 5 struggles with loneliness. And there are consequences to this loneliness. Loneliness is a direct danger to our health. The health implications are actually comparable to obesity and heavy smoking. And if that's not enough, loneliness can make you depressed. And according to the World Health Organization, depression is the #1 cause of disability around the world. So as I mentioned before, there is a financial cost. And loneliness is costing UK employers more than $3.5 billion every year. So we know that loneliness affects businesses and the workplace. But this is also where we can solve the problem, because we spend most of our waking hours at work. So the workplace is an important source of connection for most of us. What we need to figure out is how to improve those connections. And through my research, I have found that there are 4 elements that we all need to feel connected. And those 4 elements are the pillars of my method, the Fully Connected method. And the elements are self-worth, trust, contribution, and relationships. Self-worth is the first element of connection. Now, some people are surprised when I talk about self-worth, but here's what I found to be true. When someone says they're lonely, what they're really saying is, I don't believe I'm worthy of love and connection. Connection is an inside job, at least at first. In order to have fulfilling connection with other people, we must first connect with ourselves. And we can connect or reconnect with ourselves when we are grounded. And so companies can facilitate grounding exercises like yoga, meditation, or breath work. And grounding is important because we live in a world where it's hard to stay grounded. I mean, we are bombarded with news, fake news, information, opinions. It's constant and never ending. Add to that this general feeling of unworthiness, of not being enough, which is the reality of so many people today across cultures. Raise your hand or give me a yes in the chat if you resonate. And don't worry, nobody's going to see your raised hand. Yeah, so let's take a breath together right now. And if you're game, we're going to do about 5 breath cycles. So place one hand on your heart and take a deep inhale through the nose and fill your belly, your chest, your whole body with air. And exhale, let it all go. And I invite you to close your eyes. Take another deep inhale, fill all the cells of your body with oxygen. And exhale, let go of anything that you don't need right now. And as you are continuing to breathe, ask yourself this question: how can I love myself a little more today? And just notice what comes up. Yeah. And before we come back to the space, I want you to thank yourself for showing up, for taking this moment for you today. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. Having a daily grounding practice infused with a little self-love is about taking responsibility for your life. It's about taking back your power. And that inspires trust, which is the second element of connection. Trust is the glue that holds our society and your business together. But when trust is low, not only do we fuel loneliness, that distrust also creates polarity, political unrest, extremism, and violence. That is what I found when researching for both of my books, one about lone wolf mass killers and the other about the Nobel Peace Prize and leadership. When trust is low, that's when we disengage and we resign from our jobs. So how do we restore trust? Well, the single most important thing we can do to restore trust is to be responsible. And that sounds a lot easier than it actually is, because we live in a culture of victimhood and blame. So what does it even mean to be responsible? Well, here's what it means. It means that when you make a mistake, or we make a mistake, because we all do, right? Own it. And that means that you apologize publicly if needed, and you do your best to make it right. And if you're a leader at a company, it means you take responsibility for a situation, even if what happened wasn't your fault. The only two questions that are relevant are these. Number one, what can we learn from this situation? And number two, where do we go from here? And that leads me to the third element of connection, which is contribution. Contribution is one of our basic human needs, because giving of ourselves makes us feel valued. Now, there are many ways that we can contribute, but I'm going to give you one way that can be implemented into any organization. Keep a skills and talents bank. We all have skills and talents that go beyond our job description. And it's important for managers and leaders to know about these, and also for colleagues to know about each other's skills and talents, right? And just to give you an example, I have a friend, he's a hedge fund analyst, and he is good at his job, but he's even better, and where he really thrives is when he's organizing things. And his boss knew about this. So when his firm was moving offices, he put my friend in charge of the whole move, organizing the move. And it went really well, smoothly, everyone was happy, and my friend really got to shine. And you just never know when those skills in CPR or rescue diving or breath work are going to come in handy. And also, having extracurricular skills and activities is a great way to connect with people within your company that you don't normally work with, that are not on your team. And that leads me to the fourth element of connection: relationships. Relationships are the foundation for communication and conflict resolution. And yet, relationships are often not prioritized, despite the fact that having positive personal relationships is one of the most valued aspects of our jobs. And maybe a reason for that is that we believe that relationships are hard work, and we just don't have the time that it takes to become close friends with everyone at the office. And I get that. But the beauty of relationships is that we don't need to be close to reap the benefits. Back when I was still working in finance, my boss sent me to this big conference in Moscow. And I was relatively new at this particular job, and I didn't know anyone there. And the only other woman I saw was the late Madeleine Albright. She was a keynote speaker. And I felt about this big. And one morning, I'm in the elevator going down to the hotel lobby, and this man enters, and he says, "Hey, Uni, how are you doing today?" I had met this man briefly at one of the events earlier in the week, but he remembered me and he knew my name, and that did something to me. His recognition gave me such a boost of confidence. The rest of the conference, I was on fire. I made so many new connections, and some of these connections later invested in our fund. So let's examine what happened here. That encounter generated something called relational energy. And relational energy is powerful because it sparks a chain of reactions. The first reaction is emotional. It makes us feel good. The second is cognitive, which means it gives us clarity, more focus, and increases our concentration. And that makes us more productive. And all it takes is something so simple as knowing the names of the people around you and knowing a little bit about them. Connection really is a superpower. It is also the future of leadership and how companies are going to win the talent war, engage their employees, improve employee health, and battle the loneliness epidemic. So I have a big ask of all of you here tonight. Make connection a priority in your own life and also at your company. Transform your company into a community and an attractive place to work where no one will feel alone while surrounded by their colleagues ever again. And you do that by increasing employee self-worth, restoring trust, facilitating contribution, and nurturing relationships. I'm Uni Turrettini, and I believe in you.
Thank you, Uni. Wow, so much came up in the chat. A lot of well-wishers. Thank you for everybody for connecting in this way and for all of that relational energy that just oozed from your presentation. Thank you for that. Now, could you give us perhaps a few more workplace hacks to create more of that relational energy, knowing everybody's name, knowing a little bit about everybody? Are there any things we could say specifically, to signify empathy and perhaps ways in which we can easily create that kind of high-level relational energy in a cost-efficient way?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. That is a really great question. One of my favorite hacks, and it's a really simple one, is to, at your weekly team meeting, and because it's all about getting to know each other and sharing a little bit about ourselves, right? Because we all love to share, and we all also love to, we connect through stories. So if at the weekly team meeting, you can do 5 minutes, each person, there's it goes on a, you do sort of a, one person each week that get to share 5 minutes to share something about themselves that the other people don't necessarily know about them. And then the others get to give feedback afterwards. And it only, it can take 10 minutes out of the time. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but it makes the world of difference. So that is one of my favorite hacks.
We're going to start doing that at my speaker starting tomorrow.
Amazing.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.